I start off with these 5 key foundations, and all these are very big ideas that underlie this idea that you can do anything. Like that basically, in order for you to believe that you can lose 10 pounds, getting these 5 concepts through your head will be helpful. So we'll go to our first slide. This is a diagram of internal state, and this is about what happens when a new idea comes at you. It could be you need to buy a new car, or it could be me telling you that there's a 5-step process you can follow to make things happen. That usually people are in an idealistic state, and what that means is that they know what's going on. I've got everything figured out. I have an idealistic vision of the universe. Then a knucklehead like me comes in and says, like, why don't you try something new? And we instinctively move into a frustrated state, which is like, why are you challenging my vision of reality? Ugh, I don't like it. And if I keep persisting and like saying, you really should try this, you really should try this, then you're going to get into a defiant state. Like, just, you get that arms crossed kind of vision where it's just like, I will do anything to reject this new concept. And then eventually you're forced into a decision point, which is either resigned or surrendered. And resigned is when you never give in to the new concept. That's just when you stay constantly in a state of passive aggression. And then surrendered is just like, oh, okay, let me go through this. I will be the driver of discovering this new idea. And as you do that, then you become aware of the features of the new concept. And then as you see the benefits of it, then you can become decisive about this new knowledge that you possess. And then eventually you get into a state of commitment, to sort of commit to this new idea. And even this diagram is a bit of a paradox, because what committed thinking does is it leads to idealism. So we live in this circle at all times. And as a professional who gets called in to tell people, or excuse me, bosses call me in to tell subordinates that the way they're handling things isn't probably the way they should handle it. Those people do not like getting that message. It is just, and when you talk to a room full of people and you watch them, their body language start to collapse in on itself, you could see this happen in the span of a single conversation. So when I found this diagram, I was like, wow. Once again, like, I don't know when this was 1978. So these are all things where this knowledge exists out there, but be aware in yourself that no matter how open-minded or what an awesome, intelligent person you are, your tendency is going to be that you are in an idealistic state, because that's just us as humans. We don't walk around going, well, I know nothing and I'm stupid. Like, that is just not a posture we tend to have. We tend to think, I know what I'm doing, I'm a smart person, I got it under control. And it's that thinking that causes this defiance. So keep that in mind as you hear new ideas. Yep, go to the next slide. This diagram comes from a seminar that I mentioned before. I've seen it about 13 times. The guy's name is Dr. Paul Jabransky. He has a thing called Mind OS, and that's just, he wanted to break down all of psychology into visual tools for his clients. And these 2 ideas that he brought up really sort of resonated with me really quickly. The one is this idea that happiness, success, and freedom are unrelated concepts, that they aren't the same, and you don't achieve them through another thing. So success does not cause happiness. And this is a vital thing to keep in your head, because you don't want to expect a certain outcome from something that you're going to put some effort into. Like, say, if you say to yourself, I'm going to make $1 million, and you say to yourself, and that means I'm going to have $1 million to spend, then that's a healthy way of looking at it. But if you say, I'm going to make $1 million, and then I'm going to be happy, then you're going to be let down, because it's not going to give you that. It'll give your life more, you'll have more economic freedom, but you don't know. But maybe by making that $1 million, that, all of a sudden you have a lot more responsibilities and to more people. So maybe you lose some freedom in gathering that success. But the thing that I find really helpful about this model is it helps to put things into their proper place in your life. And that getting happiness and getting success and getting freedom are all very important things. And in Dabrowski's view of things, it leads to this thing he calls durable fulfillment. And all that means is that you feel fulfilled and that it's very hard to knock you off of that feeling. That's what he means by durability, is that you get to a point where there's not a lot of instability in your outlook on life, because you've got your emotional energy, your intellect, ideas, and beliefs, and your decisions are all being addressed by you, knowing that you're going to try and get these outcomes from that. And okay, so that's it for this. And this extends this concept a little bit further. And this is, out of everything I'm going to tell you, this way of seeing the universe is probably the single thing that's going to be the determiner of whether or not you can effectively apply a lot of these techniques. And it's this idea of the personal boundary, that this is a thing that exists, that there is a thing in which you exist, and inside of it are all of the things that you control absolutely. So they are the things in your life that no one can take away from you, and that nobody can affect. And then outside of that is your environment, and you have zero control over the environment. And an understanding of that is vital, that there are things that you do control 100%, and then things you do not control 100%. And that if you find yourself drifting into headspaces where you sit there just going, my boss is just, if I could just make him be nicer to me, then everything would be good. You are wasting your emotional energy, because you know what? If your boss is an unnice person, he's an unnice person. That's the way it is. That's the reality. The thing to worry about is how do you react to that negativity. Those are the things that you control. You control your reactions to your environment. And I don't know if you've ever seen people go totally on tilt over the fact that it's a rainy day, but I have. And it blows my mind, because they'll be like, God, it's just raining. I was hoping it was going to be sunny today, and it's just like their entire emotional well-being has just been completely wrenched from them because reality exists. And that's something that is just kind of, it's a bummer. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, but that's an important sort of model to look at. And the reason that this is such an important skill is that it enables you to use this concept called observing ego, and it's your self-training. It's your ability to look at yourself while you do something and kind of be objective about it, and kind of say well, I could be doing this better, or you know what, maybe I shouldn't be giving over to the fight, because a lot of times that's where observing ego is super helpful, because we tend to we're very instinctive creatures, and we will do, somebody comes up and goes, hey, I think you're stupid. You get all your heels, and you say I am not stupid. But your observing ego is a thing that lets you sort of realize that you're in a stupid fight, like in a fight that you aren't going to win. There's no upside to it, and that you can de-escalate back out of it. But if you can't pay attention to these actions, then you just find yourself going on these loops where it's a stimulus response, and that means that you don't have any real control over the space. So, as you go through life, this is really an important concept, because spiritually, the concept of suffering is the idea of taking your energy and using it to try and control things that you have no control over. And that is what suffering means. And it's the exact opposite of the word intention. And that intention is this idea of saying, I'm going to take these things inside of my control and use them and move forward. So those are the spiritual concepts sort of wedged into this psychological concept. Okay? The fourth foundation is binary thinking versus continuum thinking. Binary thinking is just that. It is things are right or wrong, things are bad and good, things are, you're a winner, you're a loser. That model is sort of the right-wrong model. The reason this is sort of not helpful in any way is because there's no recovery. Like you as the person who's experiencing this, you can't recover from being bad. Like, you can sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to be a good person. But that struggle it's insurmountable. It's just very difficult to get yourself out of it. If you can change the way you view things so that things exist on these continuums where things are either negative or positive or something in between, then you have the option of being able to, first of all, when you deal with other people, you can start to realize that people don't tend to be good or bad. They just tend to be, either they tend to be more negative or they tend to be more positive. That's it, and then you can make your choice. It's easier to sort of see things as they really are when you can see them along a continuum. The other thing is that continuums it's easier for you to begin to see that you're never in a no-win situation. You just tend to be inching one direction or the other, but you're always on the continuum. There's never a point where it's like, I've reached success and I'm just going to cut this continuum off. You're just going to, you're going to drift up and down. There'll be certain days you're better and certain days you're worse. But a lot of this goes to personal motivation, that if you start to think in these binary terms, it's extremely easy to talk yourself out of things because you are so far away from what your eventual goal is. Whereas if you always realize that both of these ends of the spectrum are within your sight, you can kind of see in both directions, and you can, sometimes you're going to drift down, sometimes you're going to drift up. But you always have the option to move in one direction or the other. Okay, next slide. This last slide is really just the 5-step process is a more sophisticated version of what is just literally you are either in a preliminary state, in an action state, or in a post state to any decision that you ever make. So just being aware of that, just sort of realizing that, you're in one of these or the other, and you can just jump into action. There's nothing really bad about that, except for it's going to tend to, your energy is going to drop off quickly because you don't have a lot of thinking behind it. But nothing bad, just being aware that you're in one of these gaps is just it's self-awareness of what's happening in your life.